Collective, hello, hello, my loves. Welcome to Vivid Vibration. My name is Christina. I am not feeling well today, but also, I was like, well, I'll dare read anyways. We'll see how well I get through it. We've just been, we're sick. We're in a sick house. Well, Nadine and I are sick. Nancy is not sick, but she's avoiding us because we are ill. We're doing the best we can out here. Okay. Collective. We got the Fly with the Dreamer, Bear the Truth, Guarded the Heart, and Protect the Fledgling. And I feel like there's just this sense of engaging in truth and allowing yourself to really dream out loud and protecting, what is yours to protect? Because I just kind of feel there's this sense of having a safe space for your truth, you know? Um, it's so important that we have good friends and people in our lives that we trust, truly, truly, people who inspire us, people who ask us the right questions. And, I just kind of feel like a lot of the reads recently have just been this, who gives a fuck what your journey looks like? Like, who gives a fuck if people want to criticize it? Who cares if they want to pontificate? Who cares if they, yeah, ruin things in your life that you love? I mean, you do care. Obviously, you do care. You always care. You mourn the losses that you experience along the way. Um, but sometimes you need to be able to express that, if I feel like sharing a truth about something that I love, in the end, ultimately takes that thing that I loved from me and smears it in shit and ensures that it will never be anything that I genuinely have an opportunity to love, then that's going to be a loss that I have to mourn, right? Um, and when you've experienced those types of things, you require a level of protection. You require people who understand what it means to threaten you and understand what it means to protect you and practice discernment accordingly. Because just because you love someone doesn't mean that they know how to keep you safe. Sometimes loving people is one of the most dangerous things we can do, because expressing a love for another person gives them the opportunity to really hurt you. Um, and in turn, creates that space where you feel the need to pull away. But this, I feel is almost that speaking your truth, but speaking it in a place of security, you know, um, because it's important that we have people who we know we can trust, who we can speak our truth to, who won't, I don't know what, use it against us or turn their backs on us, or, oh, that's something you love, so I'm going to go and I'm going to take over it, because if I take over what you love, then you'll have to let me in. And it's like, no, you just destroyed something that I loved, and now I don't love it anymore. You just robbed me of more love. There are a lot of people in this world who will rob you of the things that you love. Um, so practice discernment in who you share your truth with. Oh, fuck. Yeah, super sick. I took some Mucinex, and I got these cough drops. They're Ricolos. And they're like caramels, and they're really tasty and helpful. The Five of Swords, the Emperor in the World. Oh, wow. Dig. Um, but again, I just kind of feel like this idea of well, I don't know. I was sharing with my friend earlier today. I was like, like sharing with her some of the experiences that I've had. And she's just trying to hold space for understanding, because it's something that I don't think most of the world would understand. um, and like in the expression of all of these things, like the most recent thing that I had experienced was like the loss of someone who I had had like so much respect for, who has like served as such a like a mentor to me, through like the spiritual world, through the context of like understanding, channeling, and all of those things. And I expressed an adoration for this person, and they were recruited by the ones who are like the sickos, what I like to call them. But like in the end, they ultimately did me a favor, because now I know like who she is, in context of like like people who I would fuck with. But I guess again, there's just this idea of like practicing an awareness, and knowing like friend or foe. And how do you know friend or foe? And friend or foe because like if I share something with someone, and they want, I don't know, I just feel like there's like motivation and this expression of a desire to, no longer be surrounded with people who are motivated, to like to have access to you, because it's such a like a false, there's no genuine, there's no sincerity behind it. It's a motivated action. um, that's not to say that you can't keep those people on the outskirts and associate with them when necessary, but it is to say that like those people are not your inner circle. And I think that that's kind of what this is like: protect the fledgling, bear the truth, guard the heart, right? I can't speak my truth to just anybody. I can't share my experience with just anybody. I can't allow for my emotions to really come out, or like to offer any information that would be valuable, because the second I express anything valuable, those people will seek to take it from me, because again, they're sick fucks. Um, and I'm tired of it. I'm tired of constantly feeling like I have to like watch my back. I'm tired of feeling like I have to like even watch things that I don't even want to watch, just out of obligation of like my own safety and security, because the fuck are these people on now? You know what I mean? Like, practice an awareness of your enemies, right? But like there comes a point in time where you are exhausted with practicing an awareness of your enemies, because nobody gives like I don't want to know. I don't want to know, honestly. Like I don't want to hear your voice. I don't want to look at your face. Like the the level of disgust that I feel when I hear them speak, at this point is like next level. And yet I continue to pay attention, because I feel like I'll like I'm not safe, and I know I'm not safe. um and again, like how does that play out if we're going back to the read yesterday about like if you're dealing with narcissistic families, if you're dealing with abusive communities, like these people will do anything and everything in their power to infiltrate and control. um and sometimes it's exhausting. And I feel like there's a decision that like this really needs to end. But I almost feel like part of this decision is just like an expression of the fact that like you're so exhausted by something. Um, you don't want to have to, but like also you need to know that there is a place where you're safe to bear your truth. There's a place where you're safe to dream. There's a sense of protection. Protect the fledgling, guard the heart. Um, and I feel like that is what this is. This is like that sense of protection, that sense of the need to walk through the door so that you're not constantly fighting, so that your energy isn't drained or geared toward that sense of like, oh God, like I'm sick that I have to protect myself from this. I'm sick that I have to protect myself from people. It makes me sick to know that I will never be safe as long as these people are motivated. They leave me feeling so unsafe. And I'm tired of it. You know, you guys, I mean, we are coming up on the eclipse season. We are in a time of renewal. We are in a time of release. We are in a time of change where everything is changing drastically. And cycles are closing out, and thank fucking God for that, because I think a lot of us would love nothing more than to just burn them all to the ground. Whether that's political, I mean, the art that is going around right now is next level. I love like all of these ones of, of Trump and his kingdom. He looks so ridiculous and so repulsive. And it's funny. It's entertaining at least. But, you know, like, is that really all the more you get from it is like grotesque entertainment? You know, they've gutted the education system. They withhold information. They basically are like, I mean, they've upped the ante on, prisons, all of our prisons for profit. Everybody out there who's like, Kamala Harris, like, whatever, that bitch imprisons her people. She doesn't give a fuck about you any more than Donald Trump does. She's just not ballsy enough to act the way that he does, but she's not a white man. And white men are pretty ballsy and pretty repulsive, often. And I don't know, like they're incarcerating the kids. They're shipping out all of the immigrants, but like these people these billionaires aren't gonna just start paying people a living wage and treating people well. No, they're gonna start creating laws, imprisoning our children, imprisoning our youth, and basically setting up slave labor while they convince everyone that slavery isn't that bad, because that's what they're doing to our children. They're just going to enslave them. It's so gross. But there needs to be a safe place to express that. There needs to be a way to honor and acknowledge the fact that we have been through these cycles before, and they really need to stop. And while we can create art around the irony of it, that's not changing a fucking thing. The Magician, the King of Pentacles, the King of Wands, the Seven of Wands, and the Knight of Wands. The King of Pentacles and the King of Wands. Well, I mean, I feel like this is that Emperor energy, right? Like decisions being made, action being taken. Obviously, these are gender neutral. It doesn't have to be male or female. But I do feel like there is just, like this call to action to really turn things around, to really end some cycles, because they keep us in a state of anxiety. Yeah, I'm just going to cry. I don't feel good. We are set up in a world that is intentionally manufactured to keep us in a state of fight or flight, a state of fear. I went to the store this morning because I had to get some medicine and some stuff for breakfast. And this dude just staring at me. And I'm like, I look up and he looks like a very impoverished person. Somebody who grew up in poverty, spiritual poverty, financial poverty, educational poverty. And he wanted to engage in a conversation with me, so he comments on my tattoos. You have some really cool tattoos. In that moment, I could feel my body tense. And the first thing that I thought was, when I looked at him, he looks like somebody who would join ICE and kidnap me because I turned him down or was put off by him staring at me in a Walmart. I felt fear. And I realized how regularly we go through life and experience fear. Fear of men who have small dicks and small egos and think that they can just, if we don't do what they want, force us to. Raise their fists against us. Throw us into whatever prison they've created around us. The fear that if we don't smile and act kindly, that we're going to be targeted from jealousy and ignorance. The fear. These people feed off of fear. Sick motherfuckers. Truly. But I feel like there's a call for protection. There's a call for protection. How do I protect myself from that energy? How do I protect myself from that? Well, you can just not go to the store. You can just not go to these things. You can just not. But that's the point, right? Keep you isolated. Keep you scared. Keep you constantly surrounded by people who you know. Take the people who you trust, recruit them to turn against you. Destroy everything that you love. Sick motherfuckers. But I think that there's just been a sense of, like I'm so tired. I'm so tired of sitting around missing everything because I have people who literally feed off of creating fear in my life. Whether I'm going to the store, whether I'm going into the community, whether it's something or someone that I loved, who I officially will never trust. But I guess they did me a favor in the end because that was such an so easy for them to do that. And then again, it's like, you did me a favor, I guess. Thank you. I'm tired of being done favors through fear and control, manipulation. But I feel like there is a call. The Knight of Swords, the Knight of Wands. There's definitely this sense of like hearing the call, moving towards freedom. The Queen of Pentacles, eat of this if you dare, all the knowledge. But I think a lot of that is just coming from the fact that like you reach a point where you just feel like, okay, I've had enough. what actions need to be taken to make this end, because I'm tired of being sick to my stomach with fear. And I hate all of you for creating that around me. And I will never forgive it. And I will never forget it. But I will seek revenge. And my revenge will be the freedom from it. Seven of Swords twice. No, Five of Swords, Seven of Swords. Escape. I mean, I feel like that was in yesterday's. I feel like escaping a cycle. I feel like, and I don't know, I know some of my people are dealing with family, baby daddies, whatever, that have just been very abusive. People who have been losing their religion, people who have been fighting to overcome abuse, people who have been fighting to overcome abuses within their communities, people out here fucking chasing ICE through the streets because who the fuck joins ICE? People like that person who see a woman that they want and try to interact, and when you don't engage, they attack. But what a fucked up thought. Like, what a time to live in, the world where going to get groceries and medicine leads you down a train of thought through an interaction that makes you immediately tense your energy in your body, because you think, how I react to this person could affect the way that my life plays out. Talk about power where no power truly exists. Talk about the creation of false power through fear. The world is a sick place. And for those of us who have escaped abusive relationships, it takes a long time to get that out of your body. It takes a long time to get that out of your system. It takes a long time for you to feel safe. It takes a long time for you to not flinch at somebody touching you, because you're not accustomed to that. You know what I mean? Whether that's a physical touch or in a social engagement, or an emotional, however that plays itself out for you. The fear exists in your body until you release it, until you really clear it out. And sometimes that takes years and decades and, therapy and healing and all of it, but we gotta deal with this shit, It's not okay that we can leave the house and feel so easily frightened. Well, yeah, I mean, especially, I'm a woman of color. I'm brown. They could literally just grab me off the streets if they wanted to, throw me in a detention center, and that'd be it, And I know that sounds very dramatic, but when I was 16, we moved to Kentucky, and these fucking holler kids, because we lived in the hollers, and I went from a school in Elizabeth City where we had 2,000, 3,000 people, and to a school that had 200 people, and all the girls were white, and they all wore a pound of makeup and bleached their hair blonde, and I was Vans and 17th Street t-shirts and surfer clothes. They didn't like me, and so my first job ever was at McDonald's, They would drive around the McDonald's drive-thru and they would scream chink at me. And then they started following me. And they silly stringed my car. And they put a potato in my exhaust pipe. They spray painted "Go Back to China, Bitch" on the sidewalk in front of our house. And I remember my mom storming up the stairs screaming at me, "What did you do? Why the fuck would they do this to, to her?" Because she's always the victim. And the fact that I'm being racially profiled and my life is being threatened didn't mean anything to her, because she's a narcissistic cunt, and narcissistic cunts don't care if you feel threatened, if you feel afraid. They do everything in their power to make it about them and perpetuate the fear. And that's the world that we live in right now. And it's so gross. And those are the communities that we deal with. And they're so gross, But they pay their bills and they answer their emails and they do their dues, so they think they're not gross, but their energy is gross. And they're ignorant of it on purpose. 5 of diamonds, Ace of diamonds, 6 of diamonds, 2 of hearts. The anchor denotes successful ventures in business and love, and surrounded by 11, 13, 29, 30, blah, blah, blah. Breach of trust, near the dog, fidelity of the one you love. The lion presages a sudden shock from bad news. The birds signify dire misfortune and fierce enemies when near. This card represents the gentleman whose fortune is being told. Wow, fear, rejection, enemies. A breach of trust. I feel like that's everything this read has been about, though. How many ways have we lost our trust? Lost our trust in community, lost our trust in religious organizations, educational organizations, the medical industry. I don't trust doctors. Why would I trust doctors? I don't trust the pharmaceutical companies. I mean, I went to the emergency room one time because, it was in Portland, and I didn't realize it, but I had a kidney stone, and I was freaking out. All this shit had already gone down, and I thought, oh my God, I'm dying. I go, and they gave me fentanyl in the ambulance. And when they told me that they did that, I was so traumatized, and I was so angry. And they all thought I was on drugs because I was so pissed that they gave me fentanyl. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Do you know how many families I've seen destroyed? Do you know how many people I know who I loved who are gone because of fentanyl? And how that addiction started for them was going to the hospital, was going to the doctor. I have every right to be terrified. I have every right to feel the fear that I feel. I have experienced racism. I have experienced death. I have experienced loss. I have experienced being ganged up on, pushed around, shoved into cages, pushed around corners. You know what I mean? Whatever. Maybe it's a metaphorical cage, but it's a cage. And I resonate with people who've been caged. They're my people who are in cages. Indigenous, Mexican, brown. I have every right to feel the way that I feel. I have every right to demand safety and security. I have every right to say, I am so sick and tired of you people and your perpetuated fear. Yeah, no. I mean, so when I say, there is a group of people that makes me sick, I mean it, 100. When I say, I can't stand you, you're fear-mongering sick fucks, I mean it, 100%. No, I didn't stutter, you know. Embrace self-compassion. But yes, because you should embrace self-compassion, because if there's a reason that you feel that way, there's a reason. If you feel fear, if you feel oppression, if you feel sadness, if you feel any of those things, it's because it's real. And we live in a narcissistic world that wants to gaslight you out of your experience because they just want to bypass it. Spiritually bypass, emotionally bypass, logically bypass, financially bypass. They'll do anything they can to bring you to your knees. Whatever they do to you, they do to themselves. All beings deserve compassion. Why would your dear self be any different? Compassion is praised in our culture, but self-compassion is seen as indulgent and weak. This moment calls you into acts of loving kindness toward you, by you. Human beings are hardwired for love and struggle. One of the best ways to practice resilience between the two is self-compassion. Put your arms around your inner self with all the gentleness you can muster. Consider this: you are the only you in the entire universe. You deserve to experience love from the inside out, independent of what the world offers or takes away. Nothing can change your inherent value. It is the golden heart of mythic lore. Treasure it with kind thoughts. I love that, because I feel like yesterday it was that idea of like, you have the right to forgive yourself. The world wants to tell you, forgive, forgive, forgive. Forgive what? Exactly. The abuse, the neglect, the malicious intentions, the slanderous words, or forgive myself for allowing that to occur. Fuck you, I forgive me. I don't need to show you compassion. I need to show me compassion. I need to show the ones who have been kept in fear compassion. This is not a call to forgive. This is a call to create justice through self-love, through self-compassion. By expressing just exactly why it is that you are allowed to say, fuck you, you sick fuck, and your sick fuck friends. Fuck you for stealing something from me that I love. Fuck you for turning people against me. Fuck you for thinking that you could swap my destiny out. Fuck you for stealing my children. Fuck you for abusing me through my entire childhood. Fuck you for being the kind of person who thinks that you can take that abuse and you can use it against me and treat me that way again. You sick fuck. And then input, Donald Trump. No, I saw this picture of Donald Trump today. That was so funny. He had his shirt off and he was like this disgusting king, you know, and you're like, oh God, that's funny. Timing of that is not missed with the irony. But listen, y'all, the world's a sick place. It's the kind of place we live where we don't feel safe even going into the store anymore, where we feel pressured to respond to people, because if we don't, what if one of their friends is around? Because I don't know who that person is friends with, and I have a feeling that person grew up around here, so you know what they don't join ICE, but one of their friends does, because clearly they're not well educated people and they don't have a lot of money, and they could make some really good money and you know, better their lives by harassing me, by harassing my people. The world is a sick place, and it carries out its sickness over and over and over again. I think we're all tired. I think we're all exhausted and trying to figure out like what our best next move is going to be, because what moves do you even make in a world that is so sick? Where trust doesn't exist and fear rules the roost. But it always starts with us, right? Love myself, show myself compassion, show myself forgiveness, allow myself the space to say, I have been made to feel so unsafe on so many different levels, in so many different arenas, by so many different people. And I am allowed to disengage. I am allowed to walk away. And I am allowed to say, I will tell my story. I will share it loudly. I will share it proudly. And I will make sure that the people who follow after me know what they're dealing with. Power to the people. Fuck ICE. I don't know, you guys. We gotta figure some shit out for real, for real. But I think we will. I mean, I know we will, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. In the meantime, things are gonna get ugly. Things have been ugly. Things are still ugly. And it's hard to practice joy when you exist in a state of fear. But we can't let them steal our joy. And that's a lesson that I think we're going to have to really dive into, you know? But we're here for it, so bring it on. If this does resonate with you, please do give me a like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for holding space for me while I'm sick and emotional. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'll see y'all again soon.